In a further massive this to Carlos Tavares, Stellantis is reviving a supplier reward program in a cost savings bid, and I'm all for it. There's a lot of stuff that they could bring back that Carlos Tavares axed that I think would make the company a lot better. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this. Before we get back into the video, I want to thank Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. If you're into cars, you've probably already pretty good about maintenance. You change your oil, you rotate your tires, you keep up with recalls, and you fix small issues before they become expensive ones. Tell me how I know. I think online privacy is a lot like preventative maintenance on your cars, right? Most people don't realize how much personal information is floating around online, right? Until something happens, whether it's identity theft, scam calls. You ever get those, I'm calling you about your extended warranty. You get phishing attempts, or simply discovering that your home address and phone number are publicly searchable, which is kind of concerning. So Delete Me helps by finding your information on hundreds of data broker sites and people search websites, right? They submit removal requests on your behalf, saving you all kinds of time and continuing to monitor over time. So if your information shows up again, they work to remove it again. So here's my latest report. I'm going to cut to it so you can see it from Delete Me. So it's one of those things that isn't very exciting to think about, but it's something I'm glad someone else is handling for me. It saves me a ton of time and also keeps my personal information off the internet, which is huge. If you want to clean up what's out there on you, go to joindeleteme.com/TK Garage and use code TK Garage at checkout for 20% off. You can also use the QR code that you see on the screen for the entire time to get you over there as well. Now, let's get back to it. Major shout out to our sponsors over at Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. That, you know, as you guys know by now, they're one of our monthly sponsors, and they always look out for us, man. We truly appreciate them. But yeah, man, Stellantis is reviving a supplier reward program in a cost savings bid. So they're reintroducing a program aimed at inspiring supplier innovations by promising to share cost savings, a move underscoring the automaker's change in philosophy towards suppliers and a reliance on them in its rebuild effort. Now look, Tavares was like, I hate saying that because people like to just throw that guy's name around, but he was literally like the Hitler of penny pinching. Like, this guy would literally, if he could save 5 cents on a wiring harness, but it comes from another supplier that has no record with the company and had no, like, I don't want to say credibility, but you know what I mean. Like, there's no track record there with them. And we saw how that shit went. But okay, you're saving 5 cents a wiring harness, but then you're paying, you know, $17 to $30 per wiring harness in cost because you tried to save 5 cents. It wasn't a cost savings. It was a fucking disaster. Okay, like, I hope this is a textbook lesson for any board of directors or anybody in the automotive industry. I'm talking to you geniuses at General Motors too, with your CEO Barra, right? But this is a prime example of what happens when you let the bean counters run an automotive company. This isn't a financial company. This isn't a tech firm. This isn't this is lots of moving parts, lots of different components, and it all has to work together with engineering in-house, by the way, not software in, fucking Morocco and wiring harnesses from China and engineering from fucking Brazil. That shit don't work, man. It doesn't work. If it did, every automotive company would be doing it. And maybe he thought he was a genius and was like, I'm going to make this shit work. Yeah, that's why I tell people all the time, if you're looking to buy a Stellantis car, don't touch shit from like the end of 2023 until the, like the end of 2024, like beginning of 2025, maybe. But like that 24, that end of 23, all through 24, I would avoid those vehicles like the plague. That's just me. Now, could those get addressed when they have to tear the entire vehicle down to replace a wiring harness and do stuff under recall? Sure it could. And they could be great vehicles. I wouldn't want one. I'm good. I'm straight. But I'm glad to see that Stellantis is doing something here in terms of doing, because this also will cause competition. It'll cause, and it's going to have you're going to have innovation. You're going to have part suppliers now that'll figure out other stuff that will actually be a cost savings for the company. Maybe they figure out, how to do screens better where they don't delaminate or they don't have issues, and they figure out a better process to do, maybe something with their connectors, whatever. All of that stuff adds up. And what I mean by that is, it may not sound like a ton of money, right? But let's say they moved 146,000 vehicles of X amount, right, from X company. I'm not even going to mention a company, and they saved $2 per those vehicles. A lot of people are like, oh, that's only like $300 and something thousand. That's, every dollar matters. Every dollar matters in a company. It does. But you can't run your company by, oh, if I do this, and I get the subpar shit, I save 5 cents. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So shout out to Antonio Filosa for figuring that shit out. I mean, I'm sure he knew that. I'm sure this is why you saw so many people leaving the company, retiring, doing all of this other shit, because it was just such a bad look. Like, people were like, I don't even want to have my name tied to none of this shit that's coming out. That's what was happening. Well, I'm glad we're getting back to that, and I'm glad that they're realizing that suppliers are important. That's cool. And I'll be excited, as the company keeps realizing that their workers are important too, and they start moving, some of that production from Mexico back here. And with some of the stuff that's going on with tariffs right now in Canada, I think good. They got enough Chargers for a while. They ain't selling them shits. Them 6-packs are sitting, so I don't think they're going to have a problem selling them. But that 100% tariff that the president's trying to smack Canada with right now, that's going to hurt. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Give the video a big thumbs up if you like what I do. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, stay petty, my friends.